Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the whole flock of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Got to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. The Most High, the Heavenly Father, his Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah, not Abba, not Yahuwah, not Hashem, not Yahweh, Haveh, Vaveh. It's Yahweh. And his only God's son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua, not Yahusha, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos. It's Yahweh Shai. So got to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekah, Korash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishops, and elders of great millstone who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim, believing this truth and pushing this truth with the four winds of the earth. The entire world shall light to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Hogwath who are listening learning. If you sister who are listening learning. The Messiah from GMS Atlanta, Camp Prophet of Doom, combination of lesson of true fact, faith, and edification. Another daily edification, Lord willing, this be edifying. And this is copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This is for educational purposes only. This is not for monetary gain. I do not own the copyright to these videos. This is for educational purposes only.
Conflict, the United States getting some pretty shocking developing news coming out today, September the 26th, 2025. Let's take a look at the latest headlines with me. Putin ally fires nuclear warning at Trump's United States, and we're hearing that, yes, this is a warning of nuclear bombs, they're saying, that can't be stopped by bomb shelters. This going out to Europe and directly addressing the United States with this warning. So in addition to that, take a look at this. A massive change in Trump's stance on Russia is emerging, and we're hearing that Russia is responding very aggressively to the United States. Trump told Zelensky that he was open to providing new long-range weapons in the potentially huge policy change reports have said. So the United States is now saying we could hand over weapons directly to Ukraine to use against Russia. In addition to that, Putin is pushing the limits. Eastern allies warn Trump not to pull U.S. troops. So right now we're hearing that NATO, European Union, they are telling the United States, please leave your troops in place because right now we are about to enter into a global conflict. And there was a warning that came out about an hour ago. I'm going to share with you the latest. Stick with me here. Take a look at this. Top EU diplomat warns Trump that Europe cannot shoulder Ukraine war burden alone. They're saying we need the United States to be in the middle of the conflict that is taking place right now. 13 hours ago today, Russia dares NATO to shoot down their drones, their aircrafts. As we heard Donald Trump say, shoot them down. Europe said, we will shoot them down. Russia says, we dare you to shoot them down. NATO is ready to defend against the Russian incursions. The Germany's top diplomat says. Zelensky criticizes weak NATO. So response to Russia's violations. Zelensky saying you need to step up your response because Russia is going to push you around. He's killing people for no reason, Trump says. Throws a stark criticism at Putin. Says war has damaged Russia's reputation. Russia is helping China now to prepare for potential invasion of Taiwan, the think tank says. So in addition to everything that is currently going on right now with Russia and NATO, we're hearing that Russia is working hand in hand with China to potentially prepare for their attack with Taiwan. And take a look, coming out an hour ago, the Bolivian president says World War III is imminent as he stands before the United Nations and lets everybody know World War III has never been closer than it currently is right now. In addition to that, there was actually a report that came out that the Russian diplomat said Ukraine is going to take Russian missiles and they're going to hit NATO and do a false flag narrative blaming Russia. So A lot going on right now. World War III is being thrown around. There are nuclear bombing threats coming out from Russia against the United States, warning of what potentially could unfold here and daring NATO nations shoot down our drones, see what happens. Things have definitely escalated in the last 24 hours, roughly last 48 hours. We've received a lot of warnings of conflict. The United States getting pulled right into the middle of this. And a lot of people saying World War III is here. Some saying it actually started back in 2022. It is just now escalating to the point where various nations are going to get pulled in. And if you agree, put World War III or WW3 in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. But I'm going to dive into the latest.
All right. So then
the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, announced that all U.S. military general officers got to stop what they're doing, get on a plane, and make their way over to Quantico, Virginia next week for a meeting. And I wanted to call it a secret meeting, but it's obviously not a secret meeting because we know about it, but the details of the meeting are secret. We are not being told exactly why Pete Hegseth declared this to be so important. And this is the first time this has happened, I think, ever, at least in my lifetime. And so I don't think it's likely that they're going to be able to keep it secret for long. Things tend to leak out. And they may announce what it's about once they've done it. Not like there's any problems in the world going on right now in China, Taiwan, Ukraine, Russia, NATO countries all across the globe, Somalia, Sudan, Israel, Yemen, Iran. It's not like there's any problems anywhere that our top brass need to be actually paying attention to. However, that might actually be why he's bringing them together, because they've got to pay better attention. And there may be something very big that's about to happen. It's obvious that there is a lot of uncertainty in the world these days. Russia, over 2 days ago, flew their jets not into U.S. airspace, but if you look here, this red area that's surrounding Alaska is called the Alaska Air Defense Identification Zone, or the ADIZ. And that's considered international waters, but if an aircraft flies into that zone, they have to identify themselves to the United States so that we can determine that they're not hostile. Russia did not do that. Russia flew a Tupolev bomber accompanied by a couple of fighter jets into that area. Really bad idea. The United States was forced to scramble fighter jets to go up there because these Russian jets were not squawking the right frequency. They were not identifying themselves as they're supposed to do. And so because of that, it really caused some, let's just say, heartache, caused some consternation with the United States, by design, by the way. That was supposed to happen. This is the...
Okay. Then this is the colonel going into why they gathering these nations.
Now I think the force is a little over.
But I want to go to just another piece of news that came out today. I wanted to ask you one more question about something that happened today, and then we'll go into that statement and the developments over the last few days, as well as that meeting with Zelensky. I know you put out a post on this I was reading earlier. But I want to go to just another piece of news that came out today. And some people are calling, fear-mongering about World War III incoming. Others are talking about a military purge by Trump, similar to what we saw early on in his second term. So I'll just read out, you probably saw it online. So Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary, ordered hundreds of the U.S. military's generals and admirals to gather on short notice and without a stated reason in Virginia at a Marine Corps base. The Pentagon spokesman just affirmed that Hegseth will be addressing his senior military leaders early next week. Now, that's apparently very unusual. You've got a few people concerned. I'll put out a quote by one of the sources that said people are very concerned. They have no idea what it means. And another one, a senior Pentagon correspondent with 30 years experience said, I've never seen anything like this. Have you read about this? What are your thoughts as a former colonel?
Well, I can tell you what I know. There are 800 senior officers coming to this meeting. These are overwhelmingly 4 stars and 3 stars. And I think this has something to do with the extraordinarily excess overhead in the United States Armed Forces. I think if you go and look at the ratio of general officers to men, sailors, airmen, Marines, soldiers fighting on the field, certainly during the Second World War, it was 1 to at least 2 or 3,000, something in that neighborhood.
Mm.
And during the entire Second World War, at least until the end, when we sort of gave people honorific promotions, you get an extra star, thank you for coming and doing a great job kind of thing. We had only 7 4-stars. Right now, we have roughly 44 stars. During World War II, the size of the force was usually about 12 million. That's 7 4-stars for 12 million. And right now, I think the force is a little over a million, 1.1 million, and we have 44 stars. That tells you there's something radically wrong. This bureaucratic overhead has grown to the point of absurdity. So I'm sure something in that connection will be discussed.
Yeah, I'm trying to find those numbers. I was reading that same thing. That's my assumption as well. But is there any, is there any validity to the concerns that there could be something more serious from this meeting beyond just a purge or kind of looking for more efficiency within the Defense Department?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what you would point to at this stage. There may be some discussion about changes in other policies. We have enormous numbers of women in the armed forces right now. That's really a serious problem for us. It's something nearing 15 to 20% of the force. There's a desire to reduce that to about 5%. I've heard that number kicked around, which is probably reasonable. There may be some announcement in connection with affirmative action, which is now really no longer, strictly speaking, legal since the Supreme Court largely overturned it, but we continue to use it to advance non-white people, women and other non-Europeans. Is he going to talk about that? I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll have something to say about where he thinks we're headed in the future regarding Europe and Asia, because I know there's a desire to reduce our profile, particularly in Asia. We have forces in places where they're frankly not needed, haven't been needed for 2 decades. All of that is possible. So all we can do is speculate, Mario. I don't have any firm information on that.
There's one theory that these drone incursions are reconnaissance drones by Russia. I found that to be unlikely, and not sure how useful reconnaissance drones will be over Danish territory, especially now we've got satellite imagery that's pretty advanced. And some people are trying to link those drone incursions that we've seen over the last week to that urgent meeting by Pete Hegseth. I'm guessing by what you said, highly unlikely.
No, I don't think that makes any sense. And remember, we had the U-2 that used to fly these missions routinely over the Soviet Union and other places back in the 1950s. Once we had space-based, reconnaissance, surveillance, intelligence, we no longer needed that. The Russians have it as well. They can find and see virtually everything of importance. The other thing is the Russians have thousands of people on the ground, particularly in Eastern Europe, with cell phones that can call and tell them anything they need to know immediately. I mean, this has been the problem throughout the Ukraine war. Thousands of Russian agents on the ground in Western Ukraine. So I don't think any of that is serious.
I agree. The biggest story and something you covered in your post is the meeting with Zelensky yesterday. Trump put out a post. He said the following: after getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russian military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. With time, patience, and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started is very much an option. Why not? Massive shift. Now, I do understand Trump's strategy is to always speak a big game. Does not mean that what he's saying is something he genuinely believes that it is realistic. But one cannot deny it is a pretty significant shift in the strategy. What was your initial reaction when you saw this?
Well, 2 things. First of all, he's now made the transformation from being Donald Trump to Joe Biden number 2. That's the first part. Joe Biden never knew what was going on either. I'm not sure President Trump does. He certainly never looked carefully into the war that was ongoing and how it got started and why. I think this is also an abdication on his part of leadership. Here's the president of the United States who is supposed to be leading NATO. And he has said, look, we'll sell you all the equipment you need. Well, first of all, that presumes the Europeans can afford to buy it. That's not exactly clear right now. They've got serious fiscal constraints on them. Secondly, it presumes that we're going to have all of this equipment, particularly missiles, radars, and other things, ready to go at a moment's notice. We're way behind in our production. We're not like Russia. Russia's factories are humming. They have an excess of equipment and capability, frankly, that we don't possess. And then finally, he's saying, I've decided to sit this out. This is your war. You can do what you want with this, and we wish you all the best. Good luck. What? This is the man who claims to be the leader of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization? More than 32 members?
So, yeah, we'll see.
All right, so going back, dealing with this guy here. This guy here said that he have never heard this or seen this in his lifetime. What's happening right now? Well, when you go to Habakkuk chapter 1, it reads this. Habakkuk 1 and 5. Behold ye among the heathen and regard, and wonder marvelously. For I will work a work in your days, which you will not believe, though it be told to you. And it's been warned. It's been told. The warning has went out from the prophets. Let me go back to these guys. I got a couple more here. So you got this one here. Played that one.
Now,
This
we're
one
going to
here.
unpack a lot of stuff and see if that's not necessarily a bad thing with Colonel Douglas McGregor. Douglas, welcome back as always. Hi everyone, welcome back to Fresh Info Insight. He started off his UN speech today by talking about how the United States was the hottest country in the world, and we had the greatest economy by far. We had the greatest military by far. We produced more than everybody else. And sometimes you think, well, that's just him bloviating like he does. But then you have to ask, maybe he actually believes that, because if he's based on actions on that belief, then, as you say, we could be in a world of hurt. Now, you mentioned something about NATO, and I want to pivot there because there are also things happening off the headlines there that are very important, probably should be on the headlines. And that is here of late, there's been a lot of claims that Russia has been violating the airspace of Poland, Estonia, and over since June, Romania, Norway, Finland, and Sweden since June. And so now, all of a sudden, there's been a lot of alarm that's saying, all right, no more. We're going to have this Eastern Shield that NATO is going to put up there. We're going to use lots of additional alliance firepower to protect against what may come from Russia. And then now the verbal parts are starting to get heated up as well. And I want to start first of all with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, who's saying, if necessary, we'll shoot down Russian jets. Doug, let's look at, first of all, the initial claim that Russia intentionally violated the airspace of Poland with allegedly 19 drones. But so far, only a few grainy photographs have been produced at all, and certainly not any evidence. And there's a lot of potential that this wasn't even real at all, that it was something manufactured by the Western side to just cast Russia in a bad light, who themselves said that no, we did not send any drones into Poland. What do you make of what actually happened at the core of that?
Well, first, let's admit that Rutte's words were bravely spoken. He sounds like a man who is defiantly shaking his fist at the enemies of mankind and sort of reminding everybody that this fight will go on until evil has been vanquished. It's a lot of nonsense. It's horse dung. We looked at this, and NATO looked at this. I'm talking about NATO headquarters and the military headquarters in Mons have looked at this whole allegation. The first thing that NATO concluded and said publicly was this was not an attack on NATO. Okay, ruled it out right off the bat. Well, if it's not an attack, what is it? Is it something along the lines that you described? Is this Ukrainians capturing electronically some of these unmanned aerial vehicles and directing them towards Poland or Lithuania? I have no idea. Did someone in Norway up near the Arctic Circle sight a Russian unmanned aerial vehicle on the edge of the air defense identification zone and conclude that it had strayed into their airspace? I have no idea. I do know that the jets that were launched didn't seem to have much success against these targets in the air because less than 20% of them were struck. And I know from someone on the ground in Poland who checked it carefully that the debris that fell on a house in central Poland was not from an unmanned aerial vehicle. It seems to have come from an unexploded munition launched by one of the jets. I think the whole thing is hot air. It's nonsense. But what's depressing about the whole thing is that this is one more last gasp as an effort to drag us, the United States, into a war with Russia, because that's what it's all about. These are little nations. They have armed forces. The Polish army, by the way, is very, very good. Probably better than the other three armies, German, French, and British. But it's too small to make a dent. About the only thing they can do is deploy another 10 or 15,000 troops to the border with Belarus or Ukraine. But to launch a major operation, an offensive on the ground, they don't have the depth, they don't have the experience, they don't have the organizational construct to support it. All of this is just hot air. And I think it's getting hotter by the day because the position of the globalists who've been running the show in Europe is eroding very, very rapidly. The three amigos are all going to go down. They're not going to survive. And this Polish president, President Nawrocki, had better read the tea leaves, because the only intelligent thing he said since he became president was his announcement that under no circumstances would any Polish soldiers fight in Ukraine against Russia. And he noted that roughly 10,000 Poles were killed inside Ukrainian uniform for fighting against the Russians. Nobody has an appetite for that in Europe at all. So Rutte is full of hot air, but he's also dangerous because he creates the illusion that there's some readiness for war which doesn't exist. And this could easily result in an accident. Somebody somewhere along the line of contact, which is the eastern front of NATO, could suddenly come into contact accidentally with something that's Russian, and you have an incident, and the whole thing erupts into an all-out war. I mean, I hope not. So I think the rhetoric needs to cool off because it's all nonsense. It's not going to happen.
Well, if you talk about the rhetoric needing to cool off, it went in the opposite direction when it was the Polish Foreign Minister Sikorski, who addressed the United Nations Security Council conference a couple of days ago, pointedly looked at his Russian counterpart and said, "You have been warned." What do you make of that? You have been warned. I mean, he seems pretty cocky.
It sounds like Anne Applebaum wrote those remarks for him. That's his wife, and she is a card-carrying globalist / neocon, sort of the modern equivalent of a Bolshevik. And she and Jack Keane, I'm sure, would like to get together with Sikorsky and plan the next war. Now, on the positive side, I was delighted that he at least told the truth about the Second World War. Without Stalin and communism, you don't get a war. Without communism, there's no National Socialism. I mean, the chicken and the egg issue needs to be understood. And Stalin was quite happy to see the war launched by Germany against France and Great Britain, because he thought, much as FDR, by the way, that this would be another exercise in trench warfare and drag on and on and on. He hoped that it would grind down Germany so that he could strike from the east and overwhelm Germany, and the Allies would be stuck, and so we would make lots of money selling the Allies everything from spare parts, weapons, munitions, and food to the people in the field. So both FDR and Stalin miscalculated. The war was over in a month. They thought it was going to last for at least a year. But I'm glad to hear he mentioned that. But having said that, everything else is pure, unadulterated nonsense. You are warned. I'm sure everybody in Moscow is shaking in their boots. You know, what a ridiculous statement to make. But this is the sort of war rhetoric that you get out of these people. There is no comprehension of what they are talking about. Whatever they saw between 1941 and 1945 would shrink to insignificance next to the destruction and the loss of life that would ensue if these fools carried out their stated intention of provoking the Russians.
Hey, and this is beautiful, man, because this guy Hegseth, is gathering all these top army officials. Well, the Lord say do that, man. The Lord giving them one on this.
I don't know much about ATACMS, but how? I wanted to ask you though about.
And I just want to show these titles. Russia declares high alert. NATO has taken action. Right?
Many of his top
This one here.
officials. I want to remind.
Russia rises. America is collapsing faster than anyone thought. See, this is what's happening, man. Hey, the Lord is preparing everybody to be war ready. This is war talk, man. We in wartime. Isaiah 42:13, it reads, Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yell, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. I have long time holding my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. Hey, this is the Joel playing out, man. The Joel chapter 3. This is Exodus 15:3. It reads, Yahweh is a man of war. Yahweh is his name. So, hey, this guy gathering these top officials, hey, for war, man. This is Joel 3, and it's all because you put your hands on the chosen people of the Lord. Starting with our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, our Lord and Savior, our big brother, man. And you put your hands on the wrong people, or you put your hands on the right people. Joel 3:9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares in the swords, and your pruning hooks in the spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And everybody got missiles now. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Hey, and it's beautiful because y'all came together, right? In Psalms 83. So the Lord say, hey, gather yourselves again together. With a what did it say? Hold on. Gather yourselves together for this too. You came against the 12 tribes of Israel. Well, gather yourselves together one more time. Psalms 83, confederate, right? Verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, right? And it say, verse 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee lifted up the head. So the heathens, they hate the Lord first. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. So you gather together to take down the 12 tribes of Israel, right? With your strategic moves. Well, gather again. Joel 3:11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come and get ye down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Whose wickedness is great? Babylon the Great. Multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. So, man, and the Lord say, his determination is the what? Zephaniah 3:8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, even all the fierce anger, for all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Let me go back to this. Hey, because what Esau, even the so-called white man, brought to the table is confusion. Where is it?
Of Netanyahu.
Want to do so.
Let's play some of this.
I'm Amy Goodman. This is Democracy Now! Inside the United Nations today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave his address to the UN General Assembly. This is a part of what he said.
The final elements, the final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job. That is why we want to do so as fast as possible.
As Netanyahu spoke, scores of delegates walked out of the UN.
This confusion right here. See, this is confusion. They walking out on them, man. They walking out on them. And on the outside, people protesting.
General Assembly.
This at the UN.
This week, Western countries like Britain and Australia, France, Portugal, Canada, Belgium, and others join more than 150 other countries in recognizing the state of Palestine. That leaves only the United States on the UN Security Council not to have recognized Palestine. Outside the UN today, thousands protested Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
Uproars of the people. Uproars of the people. See? Criminal. They call him a criminal. This is uproars of the people, man. And this is why I said in Isaiah 47, the virgin daughter of Babylon, come down and sit in the dust. That confusion. The world is confused because of the so-called white man.
I'm Naz Issa. I'm with the Palestinian Youth Movement, and we're here to demand the arrest of Netanyahu, the wanted war criminal, and to
Palestinian Youth Movement. And they only know, hey, the real Palestinians, man, is not in the land. Just like the real Hebrew Israelites is not in the land.
And an arms embargo on Israel for its genocide against Palestinians. Well, you know, he's not going to come to...
But anyway, I want to show that. Hey, because they walking out on them is confusion, man. And everybody in high alert now.
We'll see how it plays out because...
Just the titles alone, man. The Pentagon is at war. See? But the Lord said, let's get this. Psalms 140. Psalms 140 and 1. Deliver me, O Yahweh, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, who imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war. See, when you go to this Proverbs 15:22, it reads, without counsel, proposals are disappointed, but in a multitude of counselors, they are established. Proverbs 20:18. It reads, every purpose is established by counsel, and with good advice, make war. This is what they're doing. Because they are the men of war. And like I say in, hey, they trying to get rid, these nations trying to get rid from these Edomites, man. Hey, but he controlled the earth. What's that? Daniel's 2. Daniel's 2:43, it reads, and whereas thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Talking about the Edomites, the self-proclaimed white man. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with miry clay. Why? Because all they bring is confusion. When you go to, all they bring is confusion, man. That's why the Edomites got to be done away with. Proverbs 18:3. When the wicked cometh, then cometh also contempt, and with ignominy reproach. I love bringing this out. When you go to this word ignominy here, H 70:36. You see it? Confusion. Confusion. Dishonor. Reproach. Shame. So when the wicked cometh, then cometh also contempt, and with confusion. Yeah, it said with ignominy reproach, confusion reproach. This why Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. Because they took on the ways of the old warlocks. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. That's why this chapter tell you, stand now with thy enchantments. See? Come down and sit in the dust, the confusion. But when you go back to Genesis 3, the Lord made the so-called white man always to deal in confusion. Genesis 3:14, it reads, and Yahweh power said unto the serpent, which is a seed line of people, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle. So above all the different nations of the earth, the so-called white man is the cursed nation. And above every beast of the field, upon thy belly shall thou go, and dust shall thou eat all the days of thy life. Dust is confusion. So he started with confusion. America started with confusion. Guess how they're going to go out? With confusion. Again, Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne. O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Hey, when you go to is it Obadiah? Yeah, Obadiah 1, right? Verse 7. It tell you here, verse 7, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. See, there's no understanding in the Edomites, because they full of confusion. This is why the Lord said this. Look, verse 9. O thou mighty men of Teman shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. When you go to Jeremiah, they don't know what's going on, man. Because of Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. And as rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. This Jeremiah 49:7. Concerning Edom, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Right, ain't no more wisdom in Teman. Is counsel perished from the prudence? Yes. Is their wisdom vanished? Yes. When you go to Isaiah, this is Isaiah 29:14. It reads, therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even a marvelous work and a wonder. For the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. See? And let's get this last one. Linking these precepts together, which I always do. 1 Corinthians 1:19. For it is written. Well, we just read it in Isaiah and in Jeremiah 49. Isaiah 29:14, Jeremiah 49:7. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise men, which I just read in Isaiah 29:14, and will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. See? So here in Jeremiah 49:7, concerning Edom, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? And the answer is yes. Guess what's left? Only thing left now, you gotta pull that sword out, man. Now, you gotta pull that sword out, man. Let's play this one again. No, not that one. This one here.
The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, announced that all U.S. military general officers got to stop what they're doing, get on a plane, and make their way over to Quantico, Virginia next week for a meeting. And I wanted to call it a secret meeting, but it's obviously not a secret meeting because we know about it, but the details of the meeting are secret. We are not being told exactly why Pete Hegseth declared this to be so important. And this is the first time this has happened I think ever, at least in my lifetime. And so I don't think it's likely that they're going to be able to keep it secret for long. Things tend to leak out. And they may announce what it's about once they've done it. Not like there's any problems in the world going on right now in China, Taiwan, Ukraine, Russia, NATO countries all across the globe, Somalia, Sudan, Israel, Yemen, Iran. It's not like there's any problems anywhere that our top brass need to be actually paying attention to. However, that might actually be why he's bringing them together, because they've got to pay better attention. And there may be something very big that's about to happen. It's obvious that there is a lot of uncertainty in the world these days. Russia.
See, it's time, man. The Lord's shaking things up, man. This guy said, he ain't never seen or heard, but hey, look at here. Powerful explosions in Tel Aviv sparks global concern. Hey, call out Yahweh Shema Shah, man. Colonel Douglas McGregor, Israel faces encirclement. Yeah, man. And that's why they got to drive Babylon the Great, man. See, man, hey. The Lord is a man of war. Let me get this. The Lord is a man of war, man. And the Lord said, I'm going to read this again. Isaiah 42:13. The Lord stirring up jealousy, man. Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yell, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. I have long time holding my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. Hey, and the Lord said he came to bring the vision, man. Luke chapter 12. In 51 it reads, suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth. I tell you nay, but rather division. And what we are seeing is the house divided, man. Was that Luke 11:17? But he knowing their thoughts said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. Yeah, man. We are watching Babylon the Great being weak in the knees, man. In Job, right? This is Job 18. It's Job 18. Where is it? Let's read some of this. So Job 18, I'm going to start at 5. It reads, yeah, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, because the Lord said, he's taking away the wisdom from the Edomites, and his candle shall be put out with him. He tell you in Proverbs 20 and 27. Let's go to it real quick. Proverbs 20 and 27. It reads, the spirit of man is the candle of Yahweh, searching all the inward parts of the belly. That's why I tell you in Proverbs 21 and 1, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, Yahweh, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. See? So let's go back to Job 18. Verse 6, the light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him. Hey, the Lord say in Zephaniah 1 and 12, that he's coming to search Jerusalem with candles and punish the men that are selling their leads. And the Edomites got to go too, man. The only one's going to be left for the elites of the Edomites is the elites. The steps of his strength shall be straightening, and his own counsel shall cast him down. This is what we watch it happen. We are watching the counsel of the so-called white man cast him down, man. And then the Lord going to use the Russians, which is the bear when you read Revelation 13. Matter of fact, let's go to that, man. Because they Edomites. They all Edomites. Revelation 13 and 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. That was the beginning rulership of the so-called white man with the Greeks. And his feet, Alexander the Greek, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. That's the Russians. And when you go to Daniel 7, it tell you that the Medes and Persians took down ancient Babylon. The Babylon, because the original Babylon, which is in Genesis, but then you got the Babylon with Nebuchadnezzar. The Medes and Persians took down that Babylon, man. And they're going to do it again. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet was the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, which is talking about Great Britain. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. The point is, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. That's the end of them. So back in Job 18, man, we watching these Edomites. They all confused, man. The Lord, he said he gonna stir up jealousy in these Edomites. Verse 7 again. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. And we seeing this happen. Psalm 64 and 8, Psalm 64, 7 and 8, and Job 15, 5 and 6. For he is cast into the net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. The Jinn shall take him by the heel, which is Yahweh Shai, and the robber shall prevail against him. That's Yahweh Shai again. Because the scripture tell you that the Lord is coming like a thief in the night. The Jinn shall take him by the heel, right? I always get this when I read this precept. When you go to Hosea 12 and 3, it reads, he took his brother by the heel in the womb, and by his strength he had power with God. So, back in Job 18, in verse 9, the Jinn shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. That's Yahweh Shai. The snare is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terrors shall make him afraid. This is what I wanted right here. This links with Isaiah 47 and 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. This is verse 11. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. Yeah. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. It shall devour the strength of his skin, even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. That's Yahweh Shai, man. See? But it said what? Terror shall make him afraid on every side. They did us like that. It shall drive him to his feet. And to prove that, when you go to 1 Corinthians 4, right? It reads, not 1 Corinthians 4, Salakia. 2 Corinthians 4 and 8. We are troubled on every side. See it? Yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. We are troubled on every side. Why? Let's prove it. When you go to Psalms 12 and 8, it reads, the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. See? To back that up with a precept. 1 Peter 5 and 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. And that's the so-called white man. Esau eating the so-called white man. Because he's the only one that can throw you in the prison. I know thou works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Verse 10 I want. We're rich, man. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, to be thy faith unto death. I will give thee a crown of life. So who can throw you into prison? Who can throw you into prison? 1 Peter 5 and 8. Be vigilant, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, the so-called white man, the Edomites, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. So they losing, man. And they are watching their kingdom collapse right in the midst of them, man. The Lord wants to edify. We give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rikah Qurash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishop, and elders, a great millstone, who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether accepted or not. And a sincere salutation to all that I can believe in this truth and pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, shedding light to the hope for the lit. Shalom to the upwalk who are listening and learning. If you sister are listening and learning, throughout tuning in, may Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Continue to bless you in your houses. May the blessed number let you be upon your houses. Till next time, I say shalom.